Dr. Shine moved just outside town. She was a city mortician. She gave up working with the living since her husband died from cancer, and then dedicated her life to helping the dead, perhaps for emotional stability or as a coping mechanism. She found a place on the outskirts. It was called Pine Glen, a wooded area with dirt paths and no streetlights for miles. At night she could hear the coyote howl from far away, sometimes getting close to the cabin. Some nights she could even hear them walking around the property, brushing the leaves aside with their paws. Nancy Shine hadn't lived out here long. In fact, she hardly knew anyone in town, except the stiff bodies she would work on. She didn't get out much. Besides, she was still settling into her new home. Often she would lie in her bed, awake by the sounds outside and the thoughts of the family she wished for. She would often find herself in a dream without realizing, sometimes haunting, other times confusing but still always vivid. She would often dream of a young boy, white as a ghost. He looked familiar, but she cannot place the face. Somehow it always seems blurred. The voice he spoke was soft and worried. "Did you come back for me? Is it safe?" The young boy asks over and over, each time louder and more impatient. "Did you come back for me? Is that you?" As the voice gets louder, his face begins to get larger as if to swallow her, and his voice turns to a scream. Just then, like clockwork, Nancy awakens with a cold sweat. "No, go away." She looks at the clock. It's 4:30 a.m. She hears movement outside. She slowly reaches for the gun beside her bed and makes her way across the room, half dressed and shivering. She slowly gets close to the window and tries to peer out. As she scans the darkness with her eyes, clutching the rifle, she freezes in fright. No more than a few feet away on the other side of the glass, she sees two orange eyes in the darkness staring right back. She lets out a gasp as she is too afraid to move. A few seconds go by. It must be the coyote, she tells herself, and backs away as she notices two more pairs of glowing amber eyes appear. She hears scratching at the door and rustling around the yard. They let out a few cries and leave. She decides to stay awake the rest of the night, but with the thought of her dream, she spends the rest of the morning trying to remember the details. Over the next few weeks, it becomes a recurring dream and more vivid each time. During her days at work, she would receive at least one body to work on, sometimes 2 or 3, but she was losing sleep with each passing night. The days began to blend together. They are exhausting, just like the nights. Lacking proper sleep, she was becoming delirious. She began having daydreams at work and sometimes talking to the bodies to help her pass the time, along with helping to cope with her increasingly morbid career. As she starts to work on the man on the table, she noticed a gunshot wound to his chest and that he was covered in mud. Looks like he was stored in the freezer a long time. She raises the scalpel and jokingly says to the man, "This won't hurt a bit." The head turns to her and speaks,
"Find my boy."
"God," Nancy screams, drops the knife and looks to the body as if it's never moved at all. "Oh my God, I can't think straight like this. I could have sworn." She takes another look and sees his eyes have opened, but just staring into cloudy space, expressionless. "Who, what boy?" she asks. But no response. No way am I going crazy. She slides the body back in the freezer and goes home. As soon as she gets home, she opens a bottle of wine, and before she realizes, she passes out. Her dream, a slightly different one this time. She finds herself outside by a cave. A young boy standing by himself in torn clothes, repeating the same line. "Did you come back for me?" His voice grows impatient and he gets closer. "Who?" Nancy responds. "Who's coming and where are we?" He answers back, "Mommy, we're coming home." Nancy's eyes open like the body in the morgue, and now she's wide awake, but she hears a growling sound at the door. Fuck, not this again. She grabs the gun next to her, gets out of bed and heads right for the door. She swings it wide open with the barrel facing toward the bottom of the doorway, ready to pull the trigger. But there is a boy standing there like a transparent blur, the one from her dreams. She is frozen in fright and her jaw drops open. "Mommy?" the boy asks. She slowly shakes her head no. She can hardly speak a word as her jaw shakes in cold fright. So the boy speaks again. "Why did you leave me here? Why did you shoot Daddy?" "Mommy." She responds, pulls the trigger and wakes up. "What is happening to me?" she screams to herself. As she shows up to work with hardly any sleep and hungover, she reads the name on the man whose body she had been working on the night before. But the only thing left is the tag, as she stares at the empty drawer. She slowly picks up the tag and reads it. It doesn't look familiar. Grieve Spector. She looks his name up in the forensics database to search for birth and marriage certificates. Married to Martha Spector and father of Charlie Spector. She uncovers that Charlie should be about 10 years old. Nancy writes it down and continues her workday, keeping an eye open for any more clues. Later that night she drinks another bottle of wine and does try to get some sleep. She has to wake up early and research the names she wrote down. Before she realizes, she hears a knock on the door and the rustling of leaves. She grabs her gun, gets up and quickly opens the door, pointing the rifle towards the bottom of the doorway. It's the boy. "Mommy, is that you? Did you come back?" "Who are you?" Nancy shouts. "Who are you looking for? What do you want?" The child steps closer and she brings the barrel up. "What do you want from me? Get out of my head." A group of wild coyote gathers behind the boy. He speaks in a frightened voice as his face becomes clear. "It's me, Charlie. Mom, I want to come home." The dogs begin charging toward the boy and in Nancy's direction. The boy begins to run to her, afraid. She shouts, "I'm not who you think I am," pulls the trigger and wakes up. It's a rainy Saturday morning. Nancy goes to her computer and begins to look up the names she wrote down from work the day before. She discovers Mrs. Spector lives just in town. "I have to see Martha and talk to her son," she says out loud to herself. As she visits the house of Mrs. Spector, and after a few questions Mrs. Spector breaks down and cries, "I did it, I'm sorry, I did it, I shot my husband." Nancy's mind makes several connections. "You had a son, Charlie, didn't you?" "Yes." Mrs. Spector replies as her tears get lost in the rain. "That's why I did it." "What, shot your husband?" "Yes, we were spending time in the woods at our old cabin in Pine Glen, just up on the hill." Nancy didn't speak, she just listened in shock as the woman described the house that Nancy recently moved into. "My husband and son were out all day. He and I had a big argument again. So he left with our son. He came back several hours later with blood on him. I didn't see any injuries on him, but he used to make threats about hurting the boy all the time. He came back out of breath, all covered in blood and with a knife in his hand. So shocked and horrified, I shot him then and there right in the chest. I tried to bury him about a mile away, but it was too dark and cold, and I was upset and afraid. I'm sorry, I didn't want to, but I just wanted my boy." The woman broke into uncontrollable crying. "I looked for days." "You are going to tell the police on me, aren't you?" Nancy replies, "I am the coroner who worked on your husband's body and I now live in the cabin where you shot your husband. I think you need to tell them yourself." She did not want to bring up the dreams she'd been having to anybody. She continued, "So, thank you, Mrs. Spector. Now go to the police. Your son may still be out there and they can still search." Nancy leaves and heads home. Not far on her way, she is stopped by a coyote standing in the middle of the road. This one is big and by itself. It doesn't budge. It looks mangy and is missing patches of fur on its body. It's bleeding from its chest but still looks strong though not aggressive. Nancy gets out of her car. "Hey. Shoo, come on." The dog takes a few steps closer and points its nose west. She stands there for a moment as the creature keeps gesturing and dripping blood. "Is this dog trying to tell me something?" The dog groans. "I guess so." She pulls the car over and follows the dog on foot. It brings her to a cave with bones. Nancy was a doctor. She knew right away these were human bones. Those of a 10-year-old. "Oh my God, Charlie." She looks around and sees the bodies of 2 coyotes with multiple knife wounds. The coyote guide begins to moan. Nancy freezes and looks to the dog. "Grieve." The dog tries barking loud but coughs up blood and drool from its gaping chest cavity. Shadows stretch over the cave's entrance. As they both turn to look, they notice it's blocked off by 3 wild coyote, almost as if they were rabid, with glowing orange eyes and foaming mouths. The big dog looks at Nancy, then the other dogs, and then charges them. Nancy knew this was her only time to escape. She ran to her car with the loud noises of barking and yelping. When she reached her car, the sounds stopped. She starts the car and drives home as fast as she can. She makes it home, gets inside, locks the door and collapses on the floor. She awakes to a knocking. Once again she grabs her gun, ready to shoot. She swings the door open, sees the figure of a man, lines the shot up, and realizes it's a police officer. "Whoa," the officer yells. "Ma'am, Sheriff Bodings, put the gun down." He draws his gun. Nancy quickly puts her rifle down. "I'm sorry, officer, I wasn't expecting company." With a stern face he replies, "Pine County Sheriff's Department. I just came by to inform you about a possible homicide in the area." "Yes, I know all about it, sir. I work at the morgue and had to work on the body of the victim. Right, he says, looking slightly puzzled. She says, I have to tell you something. A few hours ago I was chased by wild coyote and came across what looked to be the remains of a missing child. Are you for real, ma'am? Where? We got a call from Mrs. Spector this morning. Can you answer a few questions? Yes. Nancy tells the officer about everything that happened, leaving out the details she feared would make her sound crazy. A week goes by without any dreams but still no rest. Out of nowhere the phone rings. Nancy is startled and jumps. She takes a slow breath and answers the phone. Hi, this is Detective William. Is this Nancy? Yes. We did an examination of the remains you found. They do in fact look like Charlie Spector's remains. It looks as if he was attacked by dogs. The dogs by the body also had knife wounds. Looks like Mr. Spector fought off the dogs to no avail. When he made it home, out of breath and unable to explain, he was then shot by his wife, who is now in custody. So honestly, Nancy, thank you. No, thank you, sir. Can I ask you something? Yes, ma'am. How many coyote bodies did you find by the cave? 5. 2 were dead for a few months with knife wounds, and the 3 had bite marks from what appeared to look like a much bigger dog attack. Did you find the body of the big one? She asks. No, ma'am, they appeared to be about the same size. Nancy responds with relief. Okay, thank you, detective. No problem, have a great day. A few more weeks pass. She is well rested and hasn't heard the sound of a coyote since. Just as she is about to prepare breakfast, she hears a rustling outside. She gets up and goes to the door. She slowly opens it to see a large coyote standing a few feet away. It's the one she met on the road. This time it's with a pup. Grieve happily walks up to her. Nancy kneels down and pets him. He licks her hand as Nancy rubs the dog's neck and inspects the dog's body, but she doesn't see any wounds. Good boy, Grieve. The dog drops something metallic from its mouth, puts it on the ground. As the puppy barks, the 2 dogs turn and run off down the path. Nancy looks down. It was a watch. She picks it up and reads the name Spector written on it. Inside is a picture of Mr. Spector and his son Charlie. She holds it in her hand for a minute and looks back up the path. She thinks about the family she was just a part of. Finally, peace at last, she says. She slowly steps back and closes the door to the cabin. She walks into the kitchen and pours the rest of her wine down the sink. Time to make this cabin mine. Coyote-Shines by G.B.Daniello.